more strategy games. Yeah.
Not so
No.
much. It's like, did you play Mega Metroid?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just
Well,
play like the AAA games.
a lot of times
Like
they're
John
like
John
two
just likes to
dimensional.
talk shit and beat up on little kids.
no,
Oh,
no, that is not true. That
You
was
totally, babe.
that was
I didn't
it
even
made
tell you.
Khalil cry.
Yeah, yeah, he did tell
that that was
you.
that
I
was
didn't
that was
even
an
tell you.
accident.
I told you.
I got caught up in the moment.
Oh, look at that. Look, kicking her ass. Oh, knocked you out. Oh, look at that takedown. Oh, you can't block worth of shit. Oh, look at that. I'm like, whoa, dude. Fucking 7-year-old kid. What the fuck?
Dude, I don't know what got into me. I
Oh,
think
you gotta watch out for that cross.
I
Oh
was trying to
man.
teach him. I was trying to teach.
Oh, here comes uppercut. Oh, I nailed
Yeah.
you with the uppercut and you're down.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her like, what, bro?
Yeah.
What
Kid's
the
like
fuck?
tearing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My bad.
So
Um.
funny.
All right. You ready to roll?
Need to
Okay.
hock and hold. Well, hold on. Wait, let me wait till this dog stops plunging in the fucking water dish.
Yeah, hold on,
Oh.
let me get the boys getting again.
Who was I on the phone with? And someone was like, "Is someone plunging the toilet?" And I'm like, "No, that's that dog drinking water. It just sounds like someone plunging a toilet."
Dude. How many dogs you guys have?
4.
Really?
Yeah, but 2 are kind of getting old. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Like Mochi just is 12. Rhodey's
Oh
7,
wow,
but has
12.
no wait, 8 and has like a grade 3 heart murmur.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So,
Hopefully they
you know,
stick
it's
around for
part
a
of the
bit.
contract. You're gonna outlive your dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna freak out when I lose mine. Fuck.
What kind of dog you got?
A
A
dachshund.
wiener dog and he pees over on everything. Remember that? He like peed
What?
all over the bed.
What bed?
When I was at your place in Florida, remember? Like,
Oh, in Miami. Oh, yeah. I think you met him when he was like 8 months. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he was a little. And you were like, "Hey, can I sleep with him?" I was like, "Sure, if you want."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought him in the bed.
Aw, little
Yeah.
leaky weenie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Uh,
little
Yes.
man.
That is bam. So let's roll. You good? Hoppo? Moku?
ready to roll.
All right.
Uncle Mo.
All right. Okay. Welcome to Tough Business. We are back. I am John Fosco. I am here with Travis Hoppa Browne and his beautiful wife, Ronda Rousey. Or is it Ronda Rousey? Did I get it wrong?
I mean, it really depends on the situation.
Okay. Travis can speak to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she gets rowdy.
You
So-
getting rowdy?
So we got an awesome look into the mind on our previous episode of just things that I think Rhonda uses to process maybe challenging situations. So we're going to get into our pillars and kind of share interpretations. But Rhonda, I think what me and Travis had talked about is we're going to run down each pillar. I'll read it off to you, and then if something strikes your mind, run with it, because this is essentially what we view as kind of the foundation of the show, and we'd love to have your input. So we've touched on this, but number one, I'm going to go in order. Number one is the destination does not exist.
So I think, in our previous episodes, we nailed that one,
Yeah.
right? With having Rhonda going from judo at the or Olympics at the age of 6, then making the decision into judo, and then and then from judo going into UFC, then UFC to WWE, and then now WWE to other aspects of our life. You know what I mean? And I think that one, I mean, it speaks for itself. You know what I mean? Ron, did you want to jump in, or did I
You're
just
so
say
cute.
everything?
No, I love it. I love it. But yeah, I think I mean, there has to be some sort of goal to go towards, but there's short-term goals, there's long-term goals, and then there's the purposely ridiculous goals, which, I think there's stuff that you need, like, okay, I want to get this done today. And then there's I want to get this done by this month. I want to get this done by this year. And I want to get this done as like my life's work kind of a thing. And I think the goalposts are constantly moving. And yeah, I think that there's something that I used to call the simplicity of the struggle versus the complexity of success, and like
Okay.
when you're just trying and grinding away and you're like, I got to pay this bill. I got to, get to work at this time. I have to do all these things. It's all of your decisions are made up for you by necessity. And once all those necessities are covered and you have all of these options in front of you, when, necessity isn't making your decisions for you, that's when things kind of get complicated. And that's when, yeah, when the destination kind of gets blurry, and you really
Interesting.
have to reassess and really figure out where you want to go. And that's something that I think when you reach destination is when you realize that, like, this is not really the end point. This is just the fork, the fork in the road. We have to figure out the next point. And so yeah, there's never really an end to it until, like, you decide, like, okay, I'm done now. I'm gonna go cuddle my dog.
Right.
But yeah, that there's never a last goal until, like, you really decide it. But I've never reached it, so I don't even know what that looks like.
Gotcha. And you said one thing, a ridiculously absurd goal or something. Do you always, and have you always throughout your life, have you always had goals? Always, or no?
I mean, from when I was 6, I decided I was going to win the Olympics, yes. And then after the Olympics, I was like, I'm gonna try and just be happy bartending. And then that didn't work. I was like, I'm gonna try and go back to judo. That didn't work. I'm gonna do MMA. Okay, did that. And then after that, I was like, I gotta, like, reassess and get to know who I am outside of that. You know what I mean? Because when I was in judo, like, my entire personality was, like, kind of molded by that environment. And I had to step away from that environment to kind of get to know myself again. I call it a journey of self-discovery and what my likes and dislikes are away from that previous obsession. And that's when I discovered MMA. And then when I took a step from MMA and got to know myself again outside of that world, that's when, I found WWE. And since taking a step away from that, like, finding, my next passion or goal or whatever. And I think it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what you want to do next when you're still in the thick of the last thing. And I always try to take some separation and get to know myself outside of that environment again, before making the next major decision, the next major crazy goal. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So what do you say to the listener right now who's like, man, I don't really have a goal. I don't know how to make goals, because the people listening are trying to get, forward movement. They're trying to move upward. So what do you say to someone who isn't operating on a goal-based thought process?
I think that process of finding it isn't wasted time. Like that year that I spent after judo, like bartending, when I decided I wanted to do MMA, at first I was like, "Oh my god, I wasted so much time. I could have been a year ahead of where I am now. I should have just gone straight from judo, right into MMA." But in that time where I felt like I was in limbo, I actually was still learning things that really paid off that I didn't realize later. I was extremely introverted. I had a really hard time, like, speaking to people. I didn't know about things I didn't know about. I basically, if you didn't do judo, I couldn't really talk to you, and if you did judo, I could only talk to you about judo. But being a bartender taught me how to deal with media and everything like that. It was a really disarming environment. It was like, okay, you are behind the bar. People are here to get alcohol. You have the alcohol. They already want you to like them. This is the best, the best part of their day. They want to be happy. Okay. I'm already starting off ahead. You already have
Mhm.
something to talk about. you have, they want alcohol, you're going to give it to them. This is a conversation you can do over and over again. You can be
Right.
good at it. And so it taught me of how to get in conversations with strangers from scratch, how to get them to like me quickly, and how to have the same conversation over and over again, but to be just as engaged and likable every single time, which is basically what media is. And so I was learning skills that I was going to need later without knowing it. And being at the bar
Love
and
it.
seeing MMA on TV and talking to the patrons and breaking down fights and them being like, you don't know what you're talking about. And me being offended of like, I'm the baddest bitch on the planet. You don't even know this, man. Like that was the journey of self-discovery. Is I had to be a bartender to figure out that I wanted to do MMA, and I had to be a bartender to learn the skills that I needed that judo didn't teach me, which was how to be quick-witted and likable and approach people and all of these different skills. So even if you don't think you're really in pursuit of a goal, you are on your way and on your journey. You're going to find it out. And I think being patient with that process of finding out what your next passion is part of it. Just because it's not like the Rocky montage, part of the journey doesn't mean it isn't part of it.
Right. Love that. Number 2, friendship is luxury in business. It's not mandatory.
It's all you, babe.
That's all on me.
Yeah, these are for you.
I think friendships is earned. It's not like starting off, but loyalty is something that's very mandatory for me. I need to be with people that I trust. And I'll let myself get screwed over 1,000 times to make one good friend.
In
And
business, you will?
in anything, because
Interesting.
I feel like I can take it and a good friend is worth it. And if I get screwed over 5,000 times, I got 5 friends and you're fucking alone. And I just took and rebounded 5,000 screwovers. So I'm tougher and I have people that I can trust. So in the long run, I have an advantage over the dog eat dog motherfucker because they're alone. They haven't had to deal with as much adversity as me. And I got a collection of people that I can trust that are great at what they do. That, I feel like I am capable of more in the long run. So, but, there's people that I start a relationship with that I'm like, I don't really know about this person.
Right.
Like our lawyer, Dave. At first, I was like, this Hollywood lawyer guy, I don't know, but he seems really, really great at what he does. But he's also, a Hollywood lawyer. There's a lot of like, what's the word?
Hey.
There's a lot of preconceptions about
Right.
it, but over the years, like I would consider him a friend, and he's done nothing but like exceed my expectations and be trustworthy and be loyal. And you know what? Like he became a friend over the years, but in the beginning, I was very, very cautious. But he probably could have screwed me over. I have been screwed over, but you know what? The people that have screwed me over, they ain't doing shit now. Like my first manager sued me for $1 million, and I just consider it like, you know what? I'll pay the fucking the asshole tax, and I will $1 million.
Right.
And I will keep the people that don't fuck me over. And now I have like a great group of people that are all great at what they do, that, they're not just, friends I've had a long time. They're tested friends, not just friends that have been around. They're friends that have endured and performed and proven through tough times that they really are there for me.
That's a very different outlook, but it makes a lot of sense. I like this. Trav, what was your take on her response?
I think like it's an interesting point of view, and I could see that because when you say, like she's talking about, you get screwed over 1,000 times to make that one friend. right? Well, maybe that one friend could help you not get screwed. Maybe that one friend helps you only get screwed over 750 times, and then you pick up that second friend. Now
Mm.
you have two friends, and the times you get screwed over, so you're constantly having somebody watch your back, right? And when you're able to work as a team, a cohesive team, then you all have your strengths, and then your reach could go a little bit further, I feel.
What do you say to the person who says, this sounds great, I want to collect friends, but I don't have the money to get screwed over, I can't recover?
Well, I think Trav has an amazing point, and the reason why I had to get screwed over in the beginning is because I didn't have options. Like no one wanted to manage me. Like who was gonna give me the time of day? Anybody who would give me the time of day, I'm like, yes, please, I'll sign whatever the hell you want. Just please help me. I just need help.
Right.
And so I was a beggar and not a chooser. And the more that the success came, and I had more trustworthy friends watching my back, I did get screwed over less and less and less. I had more people watching out for me, but in the beginning there was nobody watching out for me and nobody willing to help me. And every shady motherfucker that came along that was willing to give me the time of day, I'm like, thank you for your time of day.
Right.
Like I'm gonna try and get whatever I can out of this, and if I do get screwed over, I can take it, but I will learn and be somehow farther along. And so if I sat around and waited for the perfect person to come along to help me, I mean, the guy screwed me over out of $1 million, but you know what? I was eating top ramen for every single meal. I was the guy would take me to Costco once every 2 months and fill up a cart like full of frozen salmon patties and rice and frozen broccoli, and I had that same meal every single night. I would have sriracha on the frozen salmon patty with the broccoli that was cooked in a wok that me and my friend Wetzel found in an alley. And it was
Wetzel.
yeah, but still it was better than what I had to deal with. And at the time, like, being able to eat that instead of top ramen, it probably was worth $1 million investment down the line.
Okay.
I probably made $1 million off of having some better nutrition and less things to worry about at that time. And so I got screwed over, but I did benefit.
Very nice. The definition of a good deal, number 3, the definition of a good deal, both sides win.
These are for you, babe.
These are all for me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I'm never trying to get one over with anybody on a business deal. I'm always thinking of, like, how do I form a long-term relationship? And a lot of times I will actually take the shorter end of the stick the first time around to foster that relationship, especially if I'm doing something like completely unprecedented, like MMA, for example. I knew in my heart, like, I am the biggest star, the biggest pull, the biggest anything that's ever happened to this company. But I didn't have any way to prove that in the beginning. I was completely unproven. I was, something new. In hindsight, people are like, "Oh my God, you shouldn't get paid." Da, 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 da. I'm like, no. In the beginning, I fought for one thing. I was like, performance. I want, my success to be performance based. I want a piece of the pay-per-view. That's it. You can pay me as little as you want. Like, I just want a piece of the pay-per-view. I want to be performance incentivized. But yeah, my initial contract was very low by today's standards. But I knew, I was like, I wasn't even going to fight on that. I wanted to outperform any expectations, and then the second time around be able to push. So I just wanted to be like, Ronda's the easiest to deal with ever. She deserves more. I wanted that to come from them. I would always say, like, I don't want to be pinching pennies when I'm talking about millions, like.
And did it come from them?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I was completely overperforming, I never had a contract reach full term before renegotiating.
Gotcha.
I was probably renegotiating like every 2 fights, even though I had like 7 fight contracts or something like that.
Gotcha.
And it was always like but at that point I don't like negotiating for fucking socks. I would have somebody else like doing that. But the first time around, I'd be like, I remember getting really mad at my representation. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop pushing them. Just get the pay-per-view and that's it. Like, I don't give a fuck about anything else. I don't care how little I'm getting paid. I'm going to prove why I should be paid the most. And then after overperforming, I was the highest paid, UFC athlete after a point, but I couldn't push for that in the beginning and I didn't want to. I wanted to establish a precedent of Ronda's the easiest to deal with. She's always available, always overperforms. We want to pay her more. And I wanted that always to come from them. And so and with every other thing, even the WWE, I'm always like the first year I was like, I'll just take whatever. I mean, like, my representation are always like, oh, we're gonna try for the most we can. But I
Sure.
was like, the idea is whatever the expectation is, I'm going to so
Destroy it.
overperform that when it becomes time to renegotiate, that's when I'm gonna push. So I just kind of like try to just to have very few things I really want to put my foot down when I'm starting a relationship with somebody. And then I overperform. And when it comes time to re-up is when I really start to be like, okay, these are my stats. This is what I've done for you. This is what I deserve. I've been very great to deal with so far. Prove me wrong, basically. So I try to always make them feel like they're always getting the better end of it to start off, if that makes sense.
So do you ever think like this? So like that right there, what you just laid out is like the definition of betting on yourself and then using the performance to leverage for a greater share of the proceeds. Like does that kind of thought process occur up top, or are these things just instinctual in the way you just said them?
I think it's that the long term is always what's the goal. Like the first year or the first contract is just the first one. And if it doesn't work out after the first one, then I don't care. Like I'm trying to establish as many long-term quality relationships as possible. And that first kind of introduction, it is not where I'm making my money. It's where I'm starting that relationship at. And so I'm always kind of willing to let it start more at the other side's benefit to kind of like, to initiate things, to kick things off, to be like, hey, this is something I wanted to be a long-term mutually beneficial relationship. To show my goodwill, I will, I will concede more. And when it comes time to re-up, then, I kind of want it more to come from them of like, oh, you deserve more. Let's start, let's restart this conversation. And I feel like in the long run, things are a lot easier, relationships are a lot more solid, and I make more money. But it's like the money is never really like my job to worry about. It's the performance. So
Right.
I like everything is performance incentivized. And so I kind of want that dangly carrot. I'm like Seabiscuit. I need the other horse to race faster.
Right.
So yeah, definitely in the as a whole, a good deal is mutually beneficial. But to start, I like to put the ball more in their court as like a show of trust or goodwill.
Because you're
Or
looking long term.
yes.
Very smart. Love it. Observation is the most valuable learning tool.
Definitely. Especially when people aren't willing to teach you. That's yeah, but when my mom would make me learn from like everybody when I did judo, even people that didn't even know what they're talking about. Because if you can only learn from geniuses, you're not a very good student. Like she would always be like, a stop clock tells the right time twice a day. You listen to everybody. and your ability to discern which information you should keep and which you should throw out is your skill as a student. And when I started doing MMA and people wouldn't take time to teach me, I had to watch other people being taught and not even being part of the conversation in order to learn. And it was like taking it on myself to as a student that this is my skill, something that I need to pursue, and being able to pull information out of people was something that I had to learn. And almost it was like you had to almost like work a coach, you know what I mean? Like, because in judo you would have one coach coaching the entire team. So
Sure.
you're just like, how do I get this one person to focus as much time and energy as possible on me? And a
Right.
lot of times it's like, got to ask things a certain way. You got to stroke somebody's ego. You got to, not do the I know buts. And you have to be able to learn even when people aren't teaching you. You need to be able to learn off of other people's lessons,
So are you aware that everything like you talk like it, you are an extremely intuitive, like I don't mean this in like a lesser than one, but like as a salesperson, you're all the intuition that a great salesperson has, like you're detailing out in a non-sale. Like, are you aware of the fact that you sell yourself all the time and you get these things naturally that most people have to work for?
I mean, I never really thought of it as like sales, but I think of it as like investing. How do I get another person to invest in me? And how do I get them to consider my success to being an extension of their own? And yeah, I guess you could consider that sales.
Yeah, you're selling yourself to the person, but yeah, it's part of the investment. I Trav, you look. Are you just taking it in because I am?
Yeah, I'm just listening.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Number 5. Why is the most important word one can ask?
Why? Yeah. I mean, I think I touched upon it kind of earlier in our last podcast, but I always try to get everyone around me to teach me, because once they do, they are invested in my success after that. If I taught her something and then she did it, therefore I'm great. And so, and then not just that, but like I genuinely want to learn from everybody around me. Like I said before, like being a student is a skill. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you don't know something or you don't understand something. If anything, it's very disarming for people that would otherwise be intimidated by you. Or it makes them feel like they have the upper hand and that they're in a position to teach. And so yeah, I think that's totally right.
I I I think too, understanding what we talk about, what we mean why when we say why, because sometimes I feel like that could come off as somebody like, but why? You know what I mean? Like kind of whining. I think too, following that up is like, oh, like why would you do that? And how can I do better? How can I? Why is this happening so that I can learn? I think
Extraction of information.
yes, exactly. Like getting that information, not like, oh, but why? Not like a little
Yeah,
kid
like a
whining. You know what I
complaining
mean? It's
way.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like please teach me. Like I
Yeah.
want to know why.
Or like
Yeah.
challenging someone, like, why are you doing that? Why'd you
Yeah,
do it
it's
that
not.
way? Why?
Yeah,
Like, no, like being from a place of like genuine
yeah,
curiosity of
yeah.
like I noticed that you do this, you're doing this. Can I ask you why? And like tone has a lot to do with it as well. I think you're definitely right. It could be taken in the wrong way.
I think for everybody listening, I think you made a great point when it comes to if you can get somebody to teach you, they're invested in you, therefore they're going to want to see. So I think for everyone who's saying, man, I may not have money, I may not have an education, I just want a fucking opportunity. I think that right there is what I grabbed for them. Like, that's a great piece of advice. If you could find someone who you look up to in any way and they teach you, yeah, that's a great point. They are invested in your development, and they will continue because they feel like there's some, I don't know if ownership's the right word, but
Well, it's a piece
That's
of
it.
them. It's a piece of them that they're offering to you and advice, and they want to see their advice succeed.
right,
You know what I mean? They want to have that confirmation to themselves that, hey, what I believe is it works. You
right.
know what I mean? And look at this, and maybe not like, oh yeah, look at me, but if I teach the kids something, it's like I want to make sure that what I'm teaching is correct as well. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Number 6, without emotional intelligence, one cannot maintain success.
Define emotional intelligence.
So like emotional intelligence would be like in business terms, like in a roundabout way, there's so many people who are super fucking skilled. They could be great lawyers, they could be great accountants, they could be great at whatever, but they don't understand someone's body language. They don't take the time to understand someone's family situation or their financial situation. So they're focused on them and being the best at their craft, but they're not really aware of other people. So therefore it can limit the length of time they can succeed because eventually the connection with people isn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word limit is what, is integral.
It's a real word, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying. But yeah, I think it is limiting. You can have success to a point, if you want to be a self-serving asshole. Um, but you're going to be limited because, you're in it on your own. And no one's going to want to help you, and the only people that will help you will have their own vested interest. And uh I mean, I don't understand how you could find that kind of way of working rewarding professionally or personally, which I feel like is, not success in itself, but other people have their own definition of success. Some people are like, dog eat dog world, bitch, da 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 da. But, at a certain point, no one's gonna want to work with you, and you're only gonna be able to get as far as you could take yourself. Or as far as other like-minded dipshits want to use you for. So I think it's limiting. It's not like, there's plenty of assholes out there getting business done, but I think it's very superficial, the kind of success that they do achieve.